Howdy, howdy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. Let me get your volume up.
Okay.
All right. You're
We just
good.
need, we just need to
Whiskey.
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I said we just need to hear you. They don't need to hear me.
Yeah. Need to hear us both. I would be talking to myself.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Yeah. It's wrapped up
That's
today a little
cool.
bit ago. I was going to hold off on dinner, and I was like, well, I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs, like, all right. It's like right at supper time. So I was like, we'll just wait till
Oh,
after.
yeah. Oh, my bad, dude. I didn't realize it was supper time for you.
Oh
We
no,
could,
it's fine.
yeah. So, what's been going on, man? Haven't talked to you since SEMA.
Yeah, we've been pushing pretty hard with the roundtable, and got a lot of
Okay.
good things happening with trainings, and
Nice.
we're working with the Chris Evans Foundation. We're the company hosting their trainings, and so we're going to be working with inmates, young inmates coming out of the prison system, to teach
Oh,
them a
nice.
trade, kind of re-enter the workforce. So, and we got our big expo that we're co-hosting with ADA and Road FS in June. So we're doing a detail expo down there.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
going to have to try
So,
to get
what's
that.
that? Is that going to be kind of like I mean, is it going to be, are you trying to do like MTE or more like STC or
Yeah,
is it just
it'd be
kind of hang out?
well, it's going to be more like SDC. It's going to be a 2 day event, but it's the name's Shine Time Luxury Detail Expo. We're going to have aviation, yachts, high end boats, that type of thing, exotic cars. We'll have education going at the same time. We have a limited amount of booths, so it's kind of a more of an exclusive event. But we want it to be upscale because the detailers can come and just like have a good time without all the all the worry or drama or anything. We just wanted to have a good luxury event. So
Oh, that sounds cool, man.
yeah, we hope to have it every year.
That's cool. Um, yeah, man. So, I reached out to you, wanted to have you on. We had a real nice talk at SEMA, and I think one of the things that really kind of impressed me with since the last time we had talked to you, coming on, talking about detailers with the roundtable and everything was um, you kind of getting into working with cities and states and trying to, bring awareness that, this is a trade and it should be
Mhm.
kind of taught and that you guys are kind of, oh, what happened? Can you still
I'm
hear
sorry.
me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you. Yeah.
As long as you can still hear me, I don't care that I'm froze. Um, it's weird. There's a huge cheer competition in Atlanta this weekend. So, or not, sorry, not Atlanta, Indianapolis. So Haley's streaming, so I don't know if it's pulling too much to try and do both of these, but
Taking all the juice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm hardwired in with an Ethernet, so that shouldn't really, but I don't know. But no, the when I talked to you, you were talking about how you were trying to push that a little bit forward and get it to be more recognized and everything like that. And I thought that was um super cool. And I know at the time you were only maybe like, working with one or something like that. So I wanted to kind of see how that was progressing for you and how far you were kind of moving that forward.
It's really slow. It's about making the contacts like anything else, and it's on another flip side of things. So everybody in the state or in the government speaks another language,
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to get up on the terminology and everything they use. So we're getting a foundation going, like I said, with one state at a time, and we're going to use that foundation and try to replicate that state to state, and see how that works out. But it's not easy. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of hoops to jump through. There's a reason why it's not done. This why it's not an easy thing to do. But I think what it requires with that is to have some kind of general foundation that everyone agrees on that are professionals in the field, so the state can recognize that and say, okay, if us as an industry can kind of get together and say, hey, this is kind of the basis of what we're looking at on each step, they can recognize that so we can get a curriculum going that is accepted by the state, and then evidently once you get 2 or 3 states, you can get it recognized nationally. and
Okay.
that's really the struggle after that to get that going. But I'm sure there's more red tape. There's a lot going on there, but it allows young, bright, talented individuals to get money to be able to come to classes or come to a detail college. Even if we're not it really opens up doors to that avenue. There's a lot of skilled tradesmen out there that can host classes and get into a new field that want to get out of the shop, but really want to pass the torch on and teach individuals to a new curriculum that can make them a good living.
Yeah.
But we've got to professionalize it, and that's been our goal since the get go. Is kind of knock down the drama and all the nonsense that's in the uh, industry. Not with everybody, but if we raise the bar, you start to attract better people or good people.
Right.
Continue to feed it
Yeah.
with good people. So
No, and that's cool. I like that. Again, I think that's awesome because doing this podcast for as long as I've been doing it now, that's something that's been brought up numerous times. Is trying to get this recognized, so that people can get some funding for it, or just the fact that um, and I hate to use the term regulated because I know we kind of called it that when we did the podcast with Barry and John about regulating the industry or whatever. And I know that's not really the term, but again, it might stop kind of those low bar entry
mhm.
detailers coming in. If it's more recognized, and by you guys doing that, I think is the start to getting it more recognized as a skill and as a trade.
Well, it's a team effort, not just with detailers around table, not just myself, but like-minded individuals and other companies collabing together and bringing it into a forefront and making that like an objective.
Yeah.
And I think the older people in the industry see that and see the need because when I started, it was such a struggle and it was really hard to get any help or any kind of education. I mean, I started before really YouTube was going on,
Yeah.
and generally detailers in the area they hated each other. I mean, they wouldn't talk to you. They snubbed the nose up at you. So you had to learn on your own. And I found the need that if I can save these kids coming up like falling on their face a bunch, and I can get them a few years ahead. I mean, that's a win right there. And
Right.
some of these kids coming up, man, they've got the potential to far surpass anything I've ever done, and that's an ultimate win. Having a impact on somebody that really passes you in success or recognition or anything. That's a reward for me. So that's
Yeah.
exciting.
No, and that's awesome. I mean, I've gotten, thankfully, with Aquatech, I've gotten the opportunity to talk to installers around the country, and we've got a handful or so, I would say, of high school kids,
Hmm.
that are have a detail business that they're running, after school on the weekends, and they're doing corrections and coatings, and these kids are making 30, 40 grand,
Yeah,
a year in high school,
yeah,
and I'm like, "Man, you guys are just gonna be," like, "you guys are gonna graduate with six-figure, businesses, like, there's not gonna
yeah.
be a need to go to college or anything, like, you guys just roll right into it, and you guys are, a step ahead of everybody." So,
I think the trades
yeah, it's cool with some of the generation.
Yeah, I think the trades in general are going to have a higher impact, not just the detailing industry, but on careers for people. And we don't want to
Yeah.
overlook that. So we need to make it attractive. We need to get the curriculum right. So it's not just haphazard. You're not just going out there all crazy and messing up people's large investments. You know, uh, so standardize that is going to be great. I don't know what it is about younger kids. Some people have it, some people don't. Um, they have a talent within them and they learn a skill and they're just better. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And some people will never learn a skill no matter how long they do the work. They just don't get it. Um, and I think that's just talent in general. You see good painters and body guys and people that can do artwork and everything. This is a natural skill, and detailing has a lot of those attributes.
Oh, definitely. I think it definitely, fits into the artistic world. I mean, I think you have to have that eye. You have to have kind of that patience. You have to be able to learn by, feel, in some circumstances. So, yeah, I mean, I've always said it seems like it's a very, artistic industry, or kind of maybe sub, section of the art world or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's why we're all so quirky. We're just
Yeah,
we're just really artists at heart.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You gotta have a couple of bolts loose or some OCD or something.
A lot of different personalities, and that's what I like about the detail industry too. Going to trade shows, you meet so many different walks of
Yeah,
life, and you have so many stories. I enjoy hearing people's successes and failures and everything because you learn from those. Just
right.
because you fail doesn't mean that it's not a success. It just means that that's just a hard way to learn something, and
Yeah,
those are necessary too because those lessons really instill in your head. I don't want to go there again. I don't want to break my nose again when I fall flat on my face. And
yeah,
and goof up. But I think we've all been there, and there's no shame in admitting that. No one's been perfect or the best, no matter what they've done. Someone's always goofed up. We all
oh
have.
yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. It's crazy, man. I mean, like sometimes I feel like I've learned and made changes without even really noticing it or knowing it. I mean, just kind of for example, like I kind of piss and moan and bitch that, last year was a slow year for me, and I was just like, man, it just seems slow and slow and slow. And, Michelle did the numbers and she's like, here's what you made last year. And I was like, what? Like I made that much, and I think a lot of it, like you said, you kind of learn from your mistakes and learn from your failures. And I think, one of the things that I've done these past couple of years is learn that, okay, I'm getting older and I don't want to work as hard. So I'm charging a higher ticket. And it
right,
means if I don't do as many jobs that I feel slower, like I'm actually making more because I'm charging, a higher ticket for those jobs. So I was kind of surprised, that for what I felt like was a slow off year, that we really did pretty good, So
I'm glad you brought that up because that is an interesting shift. You go into a volume like when I started or when I first started being hiring employees and get busier. I was like numbers, 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 full lot.
yeah,
I didn't slide that scale thinking like, okay, let's dial it down a little bit. And it took me a few years to realize, okay, I'm pretty good at this. My team is really good at this. Let's be the most expensive in town because that weeds out a lot of different clientele. And you've got to hone in your clients, but that takes a certain skill too. You have to back it up with your skill and your ability to be able to charge that rate. But I know that exact feeling. Uh, our facility, we downsized from a 50-man shop down to I just run a 3-person crew now. But we really focus on paint correction and ceramic coating and specialty work. And having the contacts through the dealer world that we've worked with so long, I'm a problem solver now. So they feed me to work when they can't do it in house, which comes
gotcha.
with a premium. So I've really bottlenecked that and funneled that down, which has been uh, it's been a blessing. It's allowed me to have a more flexible schedule. God had an impact on me with that. He's opened up doors and let me meet people on the other side of the industry, and that's
Right.
really allowed the roundtable to birth like it has. Been able to travel, which is expensive. It takes a lot of time, but we've been fortunate enough to be able to cover those bases out of pocket until this thing gets traction because I just have so much passion for the industry that it deserves it. And gosh, I can't do it. I can't do it alone. I can't thank the people that's believed in the vision enough, man. It's humbling, and I'm really appreciative of it. And you're one of them. I mean, just simple support and good talks like that. It means a lot to me, and it reassures me I'm
Yeah.
heading at least in the vicinity of the direction. I may not have it figured
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
the goal
Yeah.
is just to constantly improve it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And it's neat too. I mean, I know, um, not to bash, I know you work with, the other organization, in the detailing world. Um, but I feel, and again, this is just my opinion, so everybody please do not attack me for this. I feel like I see things moving forward with you guys more than the other one, you know? And I don't know if it's because you're a driving force and, it's you kind of have a motive and a mission for it, whereas the other one is, strictly volunteer based.
Hmm.
And I get it, when you're asking for people to volunteer their time and they've got families and businesses to run, there's usually not a lot of time left. I know that, doing this podcast sometimes gets hard for me, and that's, dedicating 3 or 4 hours of my week between recording it and updating it, or editing and uploading it and everything. So I get that, but yeah, I mean, I see kind of more of a, and for you, you might, be like, gosh, man, I feel like we haven't moved an inch, let alone a mile. But I see you guys pushing forward a little bit more than some of the other, things in the industry.
Well, there's a couple contributing factors that I think, and with the other groups, we always want to help push them forward too, and we want to push each other in the right direction because we all have the same goal. I think that
Yeah.
being stagnant can happen when you get a certain point of volume and you've got a lot of heads in the room and you can't land on a certain thing. And with us, we're pretty unique. We have a smaller group of on our board that we can push things through forward because we're not checking so many boxes.
Right.
So I don't know if we'll reach the point where we kind of stagnate too, but being aware of that and evaluate it and being able to move forward is important. And I rely on a lot of people's guidance and words, and sometimes words of wisdom, and sometimes it's just like, man, how did he get out of first grade?
Yeah. I think we've
But
all been there.
you know, but I take everybody's words with with thought and everything, and I look through it.
Yeah.
And some are just like I said, horrible ideas, and some are great. But um, everyone's walk and opinion matters to me because just because I hadn't walked in those shoes doesn't mean that it's not a valid concept. And I really listen to that, and I think me being open minded might help us hit more nails on the head. At least that's the goal. We failed a few times. I smashed a few thumbs already, but
Right.
but we're working
Yeah.
at it.
No, that's cool. What are some of the plans for 2025 for the detailers of the roundtable? What you guys got going on, other than the
Well, we do.
expo that you're gonna do? And
Yeah, the expo's in June. That's June 7th and 8th. So it's going to be hot time in Texas. So, uh, that's going to be a heavy thing. We have a pretty heavy training schedule, uh, you know, on a program, and we've kind of held back on scheduling more than that because we want to see what that load entails. And the last thing we want to do is our
right.
spread ourselves too thin. We want to give everyone a congruent training that's something that's consistent, that's going to be the best that they pay for or they attend. Uh, we actually just had a trainers training in Colorado at Rupes to get us all together on the same page. And uh, the guys that came out were so good. It was very last minute, but we had an opportunity to do that. So we formed that so we're on the same page and we're teaching the same curriculum, the same methods. Make sure no matter where you're at, if you're in Florida or you're in Oregon, you get the same training no matter who's delivering it. Um, so we shrank down some of the trainings, but our schedule is probably going to still entail, gosh, probably 12 to 15 total events. Some are going to be private and some are going to be more public, but
Okay.
as long as we're hitting the students right and educating them, it's not about who sees them being educated. It's just that the ball's rolling forward. And but I think we've got uh, I know we have some ADA events with Josh Hernandez. We're uh, in with them thickly, and I like to attend several of their trainings and meet a lot of good people in the aviation field. Um, and of course, we've got our standard, SEMA and MTE now coming up, so we'll be at those expos. And other trainings I may pop up, and I can't make them all. People invite me to some, and that flexibility allows us to kind of go on a whim. But I'm finding planning these things out is much more vital a year in advance. And when you're only a year old, it's really hard to plan it a
Yeah.
year in advance. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're learning.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're shooting
No,
from the
that's
hip
that's
when we first
cool.
get going.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Is there Is there anybody out there? I mean, the Rupes thing is pretty cool. I was talking to Jackie because Jackie went out there
Mhm.
with Pro, and she was
Yeah.
saying, how it was a great event and everything like that. So, being doing that, and I know you guys do a lot of your, kind of things yourselves. I mean, is there like other collaborations that you're interested in doing or looking to doing or would want to do? Like
Oh
what's your
yeah.
collaboration wish
Oh
list?
yeah. We really want to do that. We're working hard with a lot of companies. Uh, Rupes has been a great supporter from the get go from us, as well as Flex has as well. They poured on us. They showed up to events for us, and we really want to do co-events that people that want to support us and kind of have our same vision. It's uncharted territory in a little way, so we're not following a book. There's no hard written rule how we're doing things, but we always want to collaborate from the get go. Different ceramic companies. Thinking outside the box of just anything detail related, we'd like to be a part of it. And if I'm not able to come, we've got great people on the team that will be able to pop up and represent us. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've got dreams, but um, I enjoy being Switzerland because I don't want to put anyone in front of another. But our guilds, which are our companies that
Yeah,
support us, they're going to get highlighted, of course, in our group, and they've been great. If they see the same vision we see, uh, they support us with showing up or sending products or sending a trainer. We set up all the events, so uh, that's what it's all about. Having all those experts in a room and offering as much as we can during the training. So you may not have to go to 2 or 3 trainings. You may be able to get that all in one. Get that paint correction class and get that ceramic certification, and fine tune your
right.
skills. And it's business too. It's people skills. It's how to talk to people, how to talk to your customers. Uh, as trainers, is how to talk to your students, how to keep them in tune and listening to the whole program. And uh, we were at Rupes, and that was something that Jason Rose was really good at. Um, he's been doing it for years. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not just the content. It's not just knowing how to do it, but it's properly conveying that information to an individual they understand it. And everyone learns in different ways. Some people that you can talk to them and they get it. Some people want to read. Some people can watch and figure it out. And some people are just hands on. And of course, a combination of all those. And
yeah,
learning about a room and seeing when somebody's kind of drifting off or not really getting it, being able to pull them back in so everyone gets a maximum amount of education during a set time, because this isn't weeks long class. Most of them are 3-day classes, some just two
right.
days. Uh, so there's a lot to pack in there. So we have to stay on an agenda and a curriculum that we're figuring out. We're learning what works and what doesn't, and what people need. And more than anything, when they leave our classes, they feel like they gain friends, or they gained a family of choice. They feel real comfortable, and we've been told many times, like, "Hey, I just feel like I've been part of this crew for years," and
Yeah,
I think we're just lighthearted and easygoing, not judgmental, and we understand past and troubles and different things like that. And I think that's contributing to a lot of success that we have this past year.
no, that's cool, and it's I like that you said that about the trainings with, you kind of, get that camaraderie, because that's one thing I think a lot of people are, or maybe a lot of detailers are a little apprehensive about going to
Mhm.
trainings, because I kind of was in the beginning. I was like, I'm not one of those people that's good or feel comfortable when somebody's watching me do the thing that I do, right? Like I
Stage
get
fright,
I
yeah,
get
I mean, it's real.
super like self-conscious. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, shit, am I doing it right? Like, what are they thinking of me? And meanwhile, they're probably like, damn, this guy's doing a pretty good job,
yeah,
and I'm like, um, but when I finally went to the first one I went to was the Gloss University one, and when I finally went to that, and I realized that, I mean, everybody's there for the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're, been doing it for years or it's your first day. Like everybody's there to learn, so it doesn't really matter, right? Um, and I learned that from that one and the ones that I've done with Doxy and everything, that like it's cool because then you start talking to people and it's like, well, how do you, like, how do you do it? Well, I do it like this. How do you do it? And I do it like that, and then it becomes like a training within a training because you're learning, what the trainer is teaching you or whatever. But then kind of like in those little offshoots, you kind of, start picking up conversations and you learn that, hey, this guy is like, hey, that's pretty cool. But, like I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of that, and it works for me. And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I never thought about that. And then you go home and you play with it or whatever. So that's kind of the bonus I feel like with
Sure.
some trainings or, most of the trainings I've been to is you get that camaraderie. Everybody's there for the same thing. So there's no need to like, be stressed out about it or whatever. And then it's the training within the training
Well,
almost.
you pick up a lot of technique like that because during training we have to have
Yeah.
a foundation or a basis how to do something. Now, there might be 10 different ways to do this particular job, and
Yes.
our challenge is getting one that works the majority of the time, and then they kind of figure out their own technique. But imagine if you went to a training and I showed you all 10 ways of every step of doing everything, you would be so confused.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's really good to have those, those little side talks and stuff. And
Yeah.
it really recharges the batteries because everyone is so like-minded. We're just, I think the whole industry has ADHD. We're just all,
Oh,
it's all over
absolutely.
the place.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we go there and it kind of renews you and it makes you feel good that other people are passionate about what you're passionate about, and great individuals, great people. Because sometimes you get bummed out, you hit burnout, you start second guessing things. Have many time in my career, but having these outlets of expos and trainings, even if you think you know everything, go to a training because I guarantee you'll pick up a little golden nuggets here and there
Yeah.
that's going to really improve, and it just improves your morale. It gets you going, it gets you happy. You have contacts, you can lean on people, and not just it's not just about shiny cards. It's about the people, and the mental health and those relationships that are built. That's how you sustain. You can lean on one another because I might be strong one day and you're weak or having a hard time. You can lean on me, but it might be the other way around. And owning your own business and being at the top, what I've learned is the kind of buck stops at you. Uh,
Yeah.
Especially as a husband, you're a head of the household. I own my own business, and I don't have anybody really to lean on. But having a group of people, you kind of have other leaders you can lean on too, so you can vent or kind of go through information, and that's just as important as shiny cars. So those little
Oh
side
yeah.
talks you said are those
Yeah.
those build bonds.
And the thing that I've learned about trainings too is, don't just do one and think that you're good.
Hmm.
Um, I always give Kyle Chemist and Jerry Grant, big props
Hmm.
when I talk about trainings because those are two guys that I know that each year plan out to events, training. And it's, sometimes it's like, okay, like, I've done this one. I'm good. I'll never learn another thing again. But, I've learned because I've gotten the opportunity to go to Noxie's a couple of different times for, getting trained myself, doing an angel wax training, doing aquatech training, doing the Gloss University training. And every time and he trains, the foundation of his training is pretty much the same. Now he tweaks it here and there based off of what everybody wants to learn, right? Because
Sure.
some people want to learn different things than others, but the foundation's always the same. And I've always picked up something new or different every time I've gone, even though it's kind of been the same foundation with just some little tweaks here and there. And when I talk to people that go to multiple trainings, like Kyle, and Jerry, is they tell me the same thing. Is like, hey, I did this training last year, but I'm doing it again this year. It's the same people, it's the same thing, blah 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 blah. But this is what I learned different this year that I didn't learn last year. And the other thing that I found too is a lot of times it's just so overwhelming. You learn so much. It's so much packed into, like
We
you
can't
said, right?
download anymore,
Right,
right?
the
Yeah,
2 to 3 days or whatever, you come back and you're just mentally exhausted,
yeah,
and then
every
you're
time.
trying to yeah, you're trying to process it, and so yeah, having to go back and, maybe get a refresher or do it again because, hey, maybe it was, system overload and I didn't remember everything, and so that's why you learn something every time. So I think it's great that for people to try and do multiples or things like that. So it's awesome that you guys definitely provide throughout the year that makes it easy for people to do that if they need to. Hey, I'm not going to be able to make it first half of the year, but I could do second half of the year, and you guys are like, great, we've got plenty of training second half of the year or whatever.
And some things change. I mean, we have a few different ceramic companies that work with us. So your certificate may change depending
Yeah,
on the training. The basis is going to be there, and but like you're saying, going to the same training a different time. We're not computers. We can't just download that information and know it.
yeah,
And a lot of times we'll wander off, and we'll start daydreaming and miss a really hot topic. I've
yeah.
done it a lot. Even with reading books, sometimes I'll read a page and be like, "Wait a minute, I was thinking about tacos. I have no idea what I just read."
Yeah,
And I'll,
exactly.
I'll reread it and be like, "That's new information,"
Yeah,
even
exactly.
though I just read it. So I know that happens in the real world, and that's why we in our trainings we try to hit those three different areas of learning. It's going to be classroom work, so you're hearing me talk about it, and you're reading it too, hands-on, and then someone else doing it, and you're watching them do it. So combining all those three together and working those kinks out that we've been fine tuning, I think it's important. That's what I've learned, from education in general. Our brains, are wired a certain way, and we all learn differently, and
Yeah,
it's not just linear learning. So incorporating many different ways of learning is important, and we try to hit all those avenues and do the best we can. But I tell you, I've met some of my closest friends on the road at trainings, and because right away you have something that you really have shared interests. So right
right.
there, that in common, and you start detailing or talking, and all of a sudden you pretty much like a lot of the same things, and the personalities, you'll click, and you'll find someone that you really get close with, and that's one of the biggest benefits about going to trainings, getting friends that normally you would never have met. They're around the country, and you really look forward to getting back with them, like at MT events or any expos.
Right.
Everyone's together. It's like it's a family, and we fight this like family. We argue, and
Oh, absolutely. This industry, boy, sometimes I was talking with Noxie this morning and, I had seen a TikTok, somebody sent me a TikTok, and I won't say the name, but the guy was, like, just going off about, their Chinese knockoff machine was better than the Rupes, and he's using, a first gen, so an ES looked like maybe a 21 or whatever, and he's talking about how like oh, on this curved panel, look, it's not spinning anymore, or it's not, you need spin to cut, da 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 da. And then he gets his little machine out, and it's looks like maybe it's a force rotation, just or like a duetto type,
right, yeah,
the housing at the where the motor is obviously way bigger, probably more torque, more power. And he's like, look how, and so I was reading some of the comments, and everybody was kind of like, this or that, and like they were commenting, the company was commenting like, oh, we took a look at your profile. You're a $50 car wash guy. Get out of here. Oh, we took a look at your profile. You're this. Get out of, and it's like, wow, like you can't even like have any, criticism or take whatever. And so I was talking to Noxie about it, and I was like, and I was like, man, sometimes this industry is just so damn toxic, that like I want to just go do something else, Like
well,
I always want to like hang the polisher up, go do something else. And he
Yeah.
told me, he's like, "Dude, same thing." He goes, "I'm gonna go and get a real estate license." And I was like, "Bro, I've watched all those selling whatever TV shows. That shit's pretty toxic too."
Well, I don't think I hear that a lot because this is the industry we know. I think it's human
Yeah.
nature. I
Yeah.
don't think it's just
Yeah.
this industry.
No,
I
yeah.
think you have it everywhere. So make the best of what you've got and realize there's this toxicity in human nature.
Yeah.
There's negative impacts. It's like a hurt animal. As humans, we get hurt emotionally and we outlash in ways that uh, someone may not understand. Just like that hurt dog may snip at you, but it's got a cut on its leg.
Yeah.
It's human nature. I think it's less to do with the industry and more to do with this is how we are, man. We're
Yeah.
broken, emotional, and
Yeah. Exactly. And
insecure.
I'll tell you what, man, ever since, the drama that I got kind of, whirled into last year,
Yeah,
um, I've really after that, I really tried to just put blinders on
yeah,
and just stay focused on me, because that's all I can really do, right? I mean, I'm just stay focused on the podcast, keep moving it forward, stay focused on my business, stay focused on trying to help Aquatech grow, because maybe
mhm,
that's the thing that, hopefully eventually gets me out of the shop,
right.
and I don't have to break my back every day polishing cars or cleaning out roach infested interior details like I did this week.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
raise keep going up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, like I really tried, and it's hard, because again, like, I didn't see that TikTok; it was sent to me, and by somebody that was just kind of like, look at this clown. But those are the things that I'm just like, wow, like, you know, those people commented, and really the comments weren't like terrible, like somebody was like, "Oh, I've had a Rupes machine forever and it's, made me, tons of money and I don't have any issues with stalling or whatever," right? And it's like, "Oh, we looked at your profile, blah 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 blah." Like that wasn't even called for. It wasn't even a negative like whatever. So,
Strangely enough, with the Rupes, that stalling that people talk of is by design,
yeah.
because when it stalls out, you're losing one of those movements of the rotation. It's still cutting.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
too.
Jason
Yeah,
Rose came on the podcast and said it only loses, I think it's like 12% of the cut. So you still have like 87 or
yeah,
88% cutting availability. And the thing that I've noticed, when I watch people that kind of complain about the stalling, and this guy was kind of doing it too, is is you're not keeping it level.
it's your technique too. A lot of
Yeah.
it has to do with
Yeah.
that.
Right. You're because that's the one thing I've always noticed when I'm using it and I'm on a curved panel, I'm on a curved panel or something, and I notice the stall out, and it's usually because I'm too heavy on the handle side pushing down and not, keeping it flat, so I'm kind of tilting the machine.
Yeah,
Um, and then I just kind of stop and I reposition and I go back to it and everything's fine. Or you can do like Jason Rose said and just press down on it and
yeah.
it'll get going again. Like I don't get why people bitch again, just people don't understand. They're not educated. Maybe they don't listen to my podcast enough that I did with Jason Rose that explained all that stuff. So
Jason is so technical, and it's something. Um, it's cool to
yeah,
listen to because I mean, he's doing his dream job, right? And you can tell by that way he educates and he talks about things. But those are things that you wouldn't normally know. It's like, hey, it may be me, because one of those variables, that's the person. That's the person holding the tool. It's not just the tool. There's many other
yeah,
factors going on. There's, it's the surface that you're working on. It's the pad. It's the compound. It's the machine, and then it's you too. But there's environment involved and everything that's different. Your attitude can change everything, how you look at stuff. So if you positively start changing your attitude as well, that can improve
yeah,
your buffing skills because you might be able to evaluate yourself a little bit closer. Say, hey, I am leaning a little bit too far back. I'm pushing forward. I am actually digging into the paint. But as soon as you say, nope, it's not me, it's the machine, no matter what machine, not this Rupes or Flex or whatever, uh,
yeah.
you're going to stalemate. you'll cap out. You won't ever get any better.
Right. Right. And it's funny. I remember, one of the first MTs that I went to, I did an education day and I did one of the Mike Phillips classes, and Mike explained it as, you have your compound of your polish, which is a tool. You have your pad, which is a tool.
Hmm.
You have the tool that's a tool. He goes, and then you a tool behind
The
that
tool does it.
being, yeah, so it's a tool with a tool with a tool with a tool, like, so yeah, I mean it's not just, knowing what compound, what polish, what pad, which machine. You yourself also have to know, how your technique is. And I've watched guys detail, and I've seen, like, where they're just, you can tell by like how flexed their arms are that they're just, mashing down on that machine. And it's like, like, okay, or you see somebody like for 3 minutes, cutting, and it's like, oh man, like, the abrasives are long gone, buddy. Like, I don't know what you're still trying to cut, or
Well, yeah, your abrasive, your pad life and everything, your
yeah,
heat cycles and your pad life your consistency of your cutting or polishing is going to change with all
yeah,
those variables. You get too much heat in your pad, it's going to cut different. The cells kind of break down and mush. You overwork the compound, and then you're halfway down with the car, and you realize like your second half looks
yeah,
totally different than your first half. And that's why it's important to educate knowing cycling pads and when to change the pads or when to clean the pad out or when to let it, give it a rest, let it cool down because heat has a
oh,
huge
absolutely.
impact on performance when
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
working
I've
on
I've
something.
seen
So
so many guys post videos of pads smoking, like it's a
yeah,
cool thing, like, "Ha, ha, ha, ha," like, you're an
yeah,
idiot. You just
yeah,
torched that
no,
paint. You swelled it up so much that,
yeah,
good luck when it cools down in 3 weeks after you put a ceramic coating on it and all those swirls come
yeah.
back because you didn't cut any of them out, and
They
yeah,
just moved literally, and depending on the substrate, you can literally detach the paint
yeah,
from the substrate, and it'll be a paint failure later, and someone else will be like, "Why is my
yeah,
paint popping off?" I mean, I've seen it happen, especially transitioning from your plastic bumpers
right.
to aluminum fender or steel fender or whatever. All that heat matters, and knowing that has a big impact on your
And
performance.
and
So,
and that's
uh,
crazy because I think it was the Angel Wax training at Noxie's that I went to. Um, so Noxie was trying to show people that, it's safer, quicker, easier to wet sand and then polish out some light scratches rather than just trying to like
mhm,
hammer away. So one of the guys
mhm,
was like, I don't think so. So he was like, okay, here's a polisher, go to it. And this dude
yeah.
was just like on it, like multiple times. And Noxie metered the paint, and he had created so much heat and swelling that it actually added mils to the reading.
Yeah. And when that cools down, that flips. I mean, there's so many adversities there. I mean, if you don't believe it, go
Yeah,
do a test spot for
yeah,
yourself. Put a piece of paper on a hood, measure it out. Do your quick pass with your wet sand paper or whatever technique you're using. Uh, count that out. Same scratch across it. Measure the mill, correct it, and then you'll remove less product doing a quick wet sanding and
yeah,
polishing, you are just
yeah, that
absolutely
was,
hammering the paint.
yeah,
And it's quicker. It's about speed and
yeah.
efficiency.
That was
So
that was the first lesson I learned when I went to Noxie's the first time was he took some 4/0 steel wool, and he said, "How would you get that out?" And I was like, "Ah, it's just steel wool. We just polish it out." And he goes, "Okay, do it." And so, like,
yeah,
I put a microfiber pad on and grab some heavy cut compound and buzz, 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 buzz. Um,
yeah.
and I think I took like 12 mils of paint off. Um, or no, microns.
12
I'm sorry,
meals.
microns. I'm sorry.
Okay. Like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much paint
No,
did you
no,
have to
sorry,
work
sorry.
with?
I'm used to speaking in microns, but lately I've been speaking in mils
Yeah,
because of the paint correction competition. It's more
yeah,
people do mils than microns. So I took like 12 microns off. Noxie does a
yeah.
section, um, wet sands it, and then polishes it out, and I think he took, like, 7 or something like that,
Yeah.
like
It it's awesome learning that skill too. I mean, let's talk about that
okay,
paint
let's
correction
talk
thing
about
too,
it.
because
What do
that's
you wanna know?
pretty
I'm
unique.
good.
And
I think I've got all the answers now. Ask away.
oh, there's
No,
no
no, no,
adversity
no,
here because I know it's
but I'm curious because we've been trying to get feedback because I honestly think we have at least 85% of the bases covered. I
sure.
think if
Good.
anybody is gonna say anything, it's gonna be keyboard warriors that weren't there, know nothing about it,
Yeah.
didn't even pay attention to it, and I think it's gonna be one of those things that's like, really, that's what you're gonna bitch about, Like
Yeah. And that's what I was worried about too, because uh, I mean, you'll figure out
yes,
what the
yes,
kinks.
and that's the
You'll
other
work them
thing
out.
is it
This is
right,
this
it's
is
year
year
1.
one.
It's
This is
year
year
1.
one. So
Here's the premise. Um,
yeah,
so obviously there was somebody else last year who was trying to do this, and I didn't wanna be any part of it because they weren't putting in the work. It was gonna be a colossal failure. It would have been the joke. It would have been just absolutely terrible. So when that all fell apart and
right.
Sheldon said, "Hey, man, like, I still wanna do this, you know, can you help me?" And I said, "Look, man, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin other than let's create a committee. I'll reach out to some people that I think will have great knowledge on this." And so we
Yeah.
started there. We put together a committee. We've had probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 meetings since the middle of the year. And we've just pieced this thing together. So what we settled on is instead of hoods, we're doing cookie sheet pans. That
Right. Yeah.
way you have your own, right? It's not we're cutting a hood up into 4 sections, 8 sections, and then there's gonna be a lot of cross contamination with dust, compound dust and wiping and all that bullshit. So you have your own pan. Um, so I've got a buddy here who does, spot sprays for the dealerships. So we had him paint the pans. I took him my, what's the I always forget how to say it. The paint meter that Sean Kosher sells, NX, uh,
NXT,
yeah.
is
I
it?
I always
Yeah.
I always mess
I
up.
have
It's like
one.
Next
I
Zen
have.
or Next
Yeah.
I'm
Next
sorry,
in.
Sean, if I'm
Yeah.
fucking it
Yeah.
up. I can never remember it. But I have one of those paint meters, and I said, "Look, man, we need these things like, 4 mils-ish, to replicate new car paint." So I gave him
Yeah.
my paint meter. So what he did was he took the metal cookie sheets, because we got the ones that are non-coated, so just the regular metal dollar cookie sheets you get off Amazon or whatever. He Yeah,
High
yeah,
dollar tender. Right. Right.
he scuffed them up and then laid down an epoxy. Then he put a base of black, and then he layered clear on top of it, um, um, to try and get 4 mils, right? It's
Which is tough
Yeah,
to do.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately like, he's having a really tough time because, painters just paint, man. Like they're not so like some of them I think he said are metering like 3.8, some of them are meeting like 4.2. And I was like, look, dude, it's good enough. Like he assured me that the clear coat is hard enough that if somebody hits it with a rotary, even if it's under 4, they're not gonna burn. They shouldn't burn through. I'm gonna say that, right? I'm not gonna
Right.
say they're not gonna burn through. You shouldn't burn through, but, it is what it is. So, we have and I don't remember off the top of my head, but so for anybody that asks, because one of our committee members was like, "Look, we need to know everything, right? We need to know."
Yeah.
So Sheldon and MTE, they have because I sent all the information to them. I don't have it with me, right now. What paint he used, what clear coat he used.
Mhm.
Obviously, he paints out on the lot, so it's a quick, it's a pretty quick. He said, lay them out in the sun for a couple of days, they'll be cured up. So by the time we get to MTE, they'll be cured. Um, so that's the pans. And then he hand sanded 1500 grit, and it's all different directions. It's not going to be like a Jason Kilmer or an Aaron Knox, perfect, uniform flat. Like
Yeah.
it's a 1500 grit pan. Um, so
But that was one thing I was concerned
yeah,
about, not to cut you off, was the inconsistency of the hand sanding, because you can tell it was hand sanded. I saw your
okay,
video, so I
yeah,
got the rundown, and because that's one of those digs that you might get a curly Q at the end that's a
yeah.
little bit deeper, and I was like, okay, are we going to be able to re-wet sand these areas?
I don't
Uh,
think we'll need to. So I actually polished my pan today. It
mhm,
was super hard because
yeah,
I don't have a way to secure the pan to my table.
that
So
was my next question. It's like, how you secure
so
these
so
boogers?
so so for MTE, Sheldon has built a top that will be attached to the table. So it's a basically a sheet of plywood or whatever that will attach to the table, and then and
Mhm.
then he has measured out and cut a piece of wood that the pan will basically sit on, right?
Okay,
Because obviously we're doing the bottoms of the pans, not the part you would cook
right.
cookies on, right? S
It'll be a
Right,
little
right,
more
exactly.
challenging.
So the pan will fit over that little piece and be secured down, so your pan won't so it'll be locked down pretty good. Um, when I did mine today, I was holding the pan with one hand, running my polisher with the other hand. Because really, what I was
You should have
I
taped
did,
it
I
just for
did, I
future.
did. You'll see it because I sent it to Sheldon and I told
Okay,
him,
good.
yeah,
Good,
because the video I made the other day was a trial run. I wanted to see just kind of like what he thought of it because I wanted to do it all together, but I didn't have the time when I did that other one to set up, and I was trying to get some clamps or something that I could clamp the pan down with, right? Um,
yeah,
and so they ended up putting it out. So I said, "Well, look," I said, "You can release this as a part 2 or, stitch it to that other one and then re-release it as a whole." But basically the job for me to polish the pan was to try and come up with a time. Like what's the time that we're going to do, right? Because that was the thing
right,
we weren't sure. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 7 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? We wanted to give people enough time, but we also wanted it to be not enough time, right? So you
right.
you're pressured to get it done. I will say it took me a minute 45 ish to one-handed polish, and I couldn't do the whole pan because obviously I'm holding the pan and it's still sliding around the table. But I was able to do the middle, probably, um, 6 or 7 inches the pan, enough that I could,
Yeah,
then meter it and everything. So that's going to be the other thing. So Sheldon, so we didn't want any eyes on it for judging, right? We wanted it to be as
right. Yeah,
scientific as possible. So you saw the thing. So Sheldon went out and bought a Rio Point gloss meter, like twenty six
that's
hundred
cool. Yeah,
dollars. So
yeah. I know. Like I
right,
don't have.
yeah, not I do now. Thanks, Sheldon. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, but not only does it measure the gloss, it measures haze, it measures reflectiveness, and it measures the distinctive. So those are going to kind of be the four um, criteria for the judging. Um, paint thickness is going to be kind of like the tiebreaker. And again, that's why I
Right.
kinda didn't stress if he couldn't get them, right at 4. Because realistically, the way I look at it is, like, if you had a pan that was 4.25 or something, and you cut on it, and you end
Yeah.
up with 3.8, I start with a pan.
Min-
Right, I
Minuscule
start with a
difference.
pan
Yeah.
at 4, and I go to 3.75, like, I took off less than you did, right? Like, it that doesn't matter, they all don't need to be 4 or 4.5 or whatever, so, um, and we highly doubt that there's going to be a tie, so we don't think the paint thickness is gonna come in to any, degree or whatever. God, I hope not. I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, so like in the video, we'll meter the pans in front of you. We'll do a dead center, and then probably corners, four corners or whatever. Um, and then we'll have the time. I think when I talked to Sheldon today, I think we settled on 5 minutes since I did it in a minute 45. I think 5 minutes probably is good enough. Um, as soon as you pick up your polisher, time starts. 5 minutes. Hey, put the
Yeah.
polisher down. We'll remeasure it in front of you. Same spots, and we'll get before and after. Obviously, that machine is very much like the Next Zen paint meter, where it stores all of that onto an app. We can print it out, so it's not like somebody wrote down a wrong number. Like it's all science, it's all digital, it's all like
Yeah.
everything, right? Like, and that's where I feel like okay, we've covered that base. Like, how's anybody going to complain? Because it's not like you know, asking you like, "Hey, man, tell me which one of these pans you like best," like yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm like, "What,
Yeah,
who was that one?"
yeah,
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 that one's a good
exactly,
one.
exactly. So it's all gonna be science, um, and Sheldon's gonna create a just like he does with the Dent Olympics, right? They have different tools that they measure the dent removals and stuff like that, and he has a spreadsheet so they can input all the numbers and then come up with like an average or whatever, right? So he's going to do the same thing for this. He'll be able to input all those four different numbers and get a magical number, and base off of that. Um so yeah, man, I mean, I think like I said, I mean, I think we have it pretty solid. Everybody that I've kind of told it to is like, dude, I love it. Like it sounds great.
Yeah, I love the idea. Yeah.
We,
I do.
like you said, it's a first year. Yeah, people are going to complain. I feel like again, it's going to be like one of those like, really, that's what you're complaining about. Like I didn't see you sign up and
Yeah.
try to do it, so
The tools, do they bring their
So
own
so
tools and bring their own
so
compounds and
we
everything, or what?
went, around the world with that. Originally, we were going to, offer, the exhibitors to loan out tools and machines, so then you could be like, "Hey, our thing won," whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then one of the committee members was like, "Yeah, but what if somebody's used to, brand whatever and they're not at MTE?" And then they're like, "I would have
Yeah.
won it if I'd have had my shit," So now it's bring your own.
Yeah.
Whatever, bring your
Yeah.
own tools. If you wanna bring a rotary and a polisher, if you're gonna be that guy or whatever, um yeah,
I would have
yeah,
been that guy.
like well, and so, like, that was the other thing. Originally, we were just going to do, random orbital polishers, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, everybody's like, if you can finish down with a rotary, like, game over, right? You're gonna win,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then I went to SEMA, and Rennie was like, "Hey, man, you're messing up." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm messing up?" And he's like, "You can't just have it, just be, random orbital. I know guys out there that can do better with a force rotation, or could do better with a rotary." And
Yeah.
so I was like, "Man," I was like, "All right, well, Rennie's got an agenda. He's got a new tool. It's force rotation." Sorry, Rennie, if you hear this, I love you. But when I was at SEMA and I started talking to some other people, and they're like, "Yeah, why don't you just let them bring whatever they want?" Like that's the whole point of a competition, is being able to prove that you're better with your tool. So I called Sheldon and I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I talked to some people at MTE, and I think we should just open it up." And he goes, "Okay." And I was like, "All right, sweet." So then we just opened it up. Like bring whatever you want. I
Yeah.
mean, realistically, if you want to bring a hybrid nano, if you think you can do better with a 1-inch hybrid nano, like more power to you.
Because I was thinking, the reason I asked that, because I was thinking then I'd be getting my foam disc pad and damp sand that thing first to get it
Yeah.
uniform.
So
You know,
we kind of, because we did have some people ask us, well, can we wet sand it, and at first I was kind of like, I mean, I don't know, man, they're only gonna have like 5 minutes. Like, I mean, it's,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it can.
yeah,
It's you can
but
start from sanding, and
yeah,
10 seconds, 12
yeah, we
seconds, and you're
decided
ready to
that
cut.
no, let's not, because the whole point is for everybody to have at least an exact or a pretty exact starting point, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the thing that I kind of like about that it's not super uniform in the sanding is that's where the skill is going to come in, because you know,
Mhm.
yeah, he hand sanded them, blocked. He uses a block, so I mean, it's not like he actually like used his hand that you might get some deeper grooves or whatever. At least they're blocked, but they are kind of
Yeah.
different directions. And to me, I feel like that that's where you're going to prove yourself.
Mhm.
Listen, I wrote my numbers down because I'm curious to see how my
How you stack
one-handed
up?
polishing would maybe do against. Yeah,
You win the whole thing. You're like, "Hey, this is pre-recorded. I swear it was."
dude, I listen, I don't know what I would do if my numbers ended up being higher than everybody else's. But I will tell you, like, I was pretty impressed because, just one-handing it, um, the shoot, I don't have the paper with me. The gloss was like, the gloss went up huge. I can't remember the gloss to start with. I think it was like 30 or 40 or something like that. I ended up with like an
Mhm.
86 gloss.
I
Yeah,
got
so
some
I got a
improvement.
lot of improvement. What I was
Yeah.
kind of more impressed with was the haze went from 195 to 5. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I took a ton of haze out of it. So again, yeah, if I one-armed it, and maybe got some competitive numbers, I'll be
And that's the trick. It's probably one
I'll be
woman is the
I'll be
trick, you
pretty
know?
impressed. So if anybody
Get
wants to
enough
know if any
nothing
yeah,
right
if
now.
anybody wants to
No.
know which pad and which polishes and compounds I used, I will sell my secrets to you.
Yeah, to make sure you're like, "All right, for
Yeah.
50 extra
Yeah.
bucks, I can get you
Yeah.
this winning
Yeah. No, and I
combo."
mean, the thing is, hopefully next year, one of our committee members had a great idea, and I wish we could have done it this year, but Sheldon's like, it's first year, let's just do one. But next year, I hope what we'll add to it is kind of almost like a blind taste test. So you show up,
Mhm,
and we've got blank bottles for compound, blank bottles for polish,
mhm,
a blank pad that maybe we get somebody to make that you can't tell, because it doesn't have a certain little swoop out shape like Rupes has, or it's not doesn't have that HDO interface or outer lip like Buff and Shine. Like we just get somebody to make us a pad that you can't tell who it is, where it came from, what it even does. The only thing that
mhm.
we wouldn't be able to do blind taste test kind of thing would be machines, because it doesn't matter if you take the Rupes logo off, you still know it's a Rupes. If you take the Flex logo off, you still know it's a
Yeah.
Flex. If you take a
Well, you'll still know the pads too.
Ah,
I mean,
I
by
don't know. I
consistency,
don't know,
sure.
man. I mean, I think we could get somebody to make us, or I don't know. We've even talked about just going on Amazon and ordering some, super generic pad that whatever. So but I like that one because I think that one then is more on the technician, because you don't know. I mean, it might be
Yeah.
Chemical Guys V36 in there,
Mhm.
like,
I mean, it really does. I mean, that would be neat because you would have to test and be like, okay, that's not working. I've got to slow my speed down. I've got to cycle it
yeah.
more. I've got to
But
do this or
again, if you
whatever.
only got
But
5 minutes, like,
airborne, yeah,
you got no time to test.
like
You
it's
just
not
gotta
working.
go. You gotta go and hope for the best, and that's what I like about it. That's what
Yeah.
I like about that one. Obviously, if it grows, Sheldon's got, um, other ideas of potentially, the PDR one, they do tag teams, and we talked about, maybe Sheldon even gets cars and it's a interior exterior tag team,
Yeah.
it could go crazy, I mean, if it really, if we do well with it this year, we expand onto it next year and kind of really start getting it dialed in, then we can really start opening it up and doing all kinds of other things with it.
I've
Okay.
got one request. We have to do shop chair jousting, and what Detailers Roundtable will sponsor it, and you know we get in a shop chair, and you got your buddy behind you, and you go shop chair jousting. So
I'll bring it up. Bring it up what are we doing? We just holding the polisher out straight like on
yeah,
speed sticks, and you just like, yeah.
yeah. I have no idea where that could go, but uh, it'd be
Maybe
something cool
maybe
like
we
that
could
where
get
you'd have
Viper to pitch in a couple of chairs for it or something.
you could do a relay, like you have to balance this so
Yeah.
far, you have to like polish a panel as you're running
Yeah.
by it or something, but some kind of a relay
Yeah.
on teams would
Listen,
be kind of
I
neat.
love it. I
Uh,
listen, I would love to have as much fun with this as possible. I mean, again, I think it's
yeah,
gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a cool thing. I mean, we've got some cool people signed up. Mike Phillips is signed up for this. If you want to come
yeah,
and potentially say you kicked Mike Phillips's ass in a paint correction competition, come on down.
yeah.
Um, I just got a text from Steve Persia today that he signed up. Steve Steve Persia's a
Cool. Yeah,
pretty badass detailer.
yeah.
Jen Turcott is signed up for it. Um,
Cool. Yeah,
and I think Tom from Buff Bright said he was going to sign up because he commented on that video. Can I bring a rotary or he said what did he ask? He said, "Can we bring our own machines?" And I said, "Yes, sir, you can." He said, "Can I bring rotary and DA?" I said, "Absolutely, if that's what you want to do." So he
for
said,
sure.
"Cool." I think so. He said, "I'm gonna look into it." So I think Tom from Buff Bright might sign up for it. So yeah, I mean, so Sheldon wanted to keep it fairly small this year, so it's capped at 20 contestants for this year.
Yeah,
We asked him, "Well, what does PDR usually have?" And I think they have like almost 100. So we're like, "Ugh."
yeah,
So last Sheldon, when I talked to Sheldon a couple days ago, there were 11 people signed up for it. So if Persia signed up today, that would make 12. If Tom ends up signing up, that's 13. So I mean, we're getting, kind of close to the 20. We might actually get them all. And he kind of anticipated um day of, like, somebody might walk up and be like, you know
I'm
yeah,
sure they will. Yeah, they get there and they see the setup. They're like, "Oh yeah, I
yeah,
gotta do this."
yeah. And we've talked to Jason Rose. So Jason Rose is going to be kind of our guy in the booth.
Cool.
He's gonna take off his Rupes shirt. He's gonna put on an IDA shirt, so he's not gonna be
Nobody
right.
will recognize him. He's totally
Exactly. It's like
recognizable.
Clark Kent and
Um,
Superman. Take the glasses
yeah.
off. Yeah. So he's gonna be there. And so he's gonna be the one that does the metering for everybody. So listen,
Yeah,
you got the guy running the meter for you. The
absolutely.
other
Yeah,
thing that we're going to do is, I think Sheldon told me the guy who owns Rio Point, or is the guy here in the US for Rio Point or whatever. He's going to be there to kind of, if anybody has any questions about the machine, like, he's going to be there to answer questions. Um, and then I am going to, I'll be splitting my time between the Aquatech booth and this. So what I'm going to do is um, kind of do post interviews with the
yeah,
contestants. So after they're done, I'll grab them. Sheldon's going to have his media people there, and just kind of a quick, 5 10-minute, what'd you think? How do you feel? So, I want some, if anybody's listening, that's going to be in this thing, I want some, like, first of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank my mom, I want-
This
yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
I want some, I don't know
I
what to
don't,
do.
I
Yeah,
don't know what to do with
exactly,
my hands.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because after we do that, then me and Sheldon are gonna hop on and do like a quick little maybe 15 or 20-minute podcast, and then I'm gonna take all those audios. And so Sheldon and I will kind of talk about it after MTE is over, and then I'll take those audios from the after interviews, or the after whatever, and kind of piece it together for an episode that hopefully then people will listen to it and hear the experiences from everybody and help drive it forward for next year.
Hey, I'll be your
Yeah.
hype man. You can
Okay.
count on me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah,
here in a
let's
month.
do it. Let's do it. So yeah, so
Yeah.
man, so that's how the paint correction competition thing's gonna go, man. And we'll see. It's I'm excited for it because I think it's going to be a good thing for the industry, first year, and we'll grow from there with it. We'll make, obviously we'll make changes. Sheldon definitely wants, feedback from everybody, even if it's just somebody, walking by and see something, and says, "Hey, next time you should do this or whatever." We want that feedback. We're open to it. We're not going to be, you know, you know,
Look, you're not just talking about it. You guys are doing it because they can
right,
critique it all they want to, but they didn't put it
right,
to action. I mean, this is
yeah.
how it starts. I mean, it could be a catastrophe, but it's
Oh
going to
yeah,
be a lot of
absolutely.
fun, and you can tweak
Absolutely.
it and make it better. You just don't
Yeah.
know until it's done, and I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to it. It's something unique. I always thought that the MT should be having some kind of competition like
Look,
that, and how you judge it, doing even
yeah.
interior work or a tag team job or something. So it's hard to scale that, but
Well, it's
I
well, thanks.
congratulate you on
It's
that.
tough,
Come,
because I will give a lot of the credit to my ex co-host because he was the one that kind of kept pushing Sheldon every time we talked to him, and Sheldon was just like, "Look, like so many people in the industry have told me, don't do it. You're gonna have fights. People are gonna get pissed off." Like he didn't want to do it, but because of the fact that we talked about it almost every year on the podcast when we had Sheldon on, Sheldon got to a point where people at MTE were starting to ask him about it, like, "Hey, what's the deal? Like, why aren't we doing one?"
healthy competition. I think we can all act like adults
Yeah,
um, half the time, and
yeah,
some of the time, at least once, we'll act like an adult.
yeah, exactly.
And maybe we can nail this thing down because that's what makes it fun. It's
Yeah,
entertainment. It gets you can only walk the floor so much and have so many conversations as and something to do with detail and entertainment. It sounds like a great plan. I
yeah.
really love the direction you're going with it.
And look, man, at the end of the day, like, regardless, at the end of the day, somebody is gonna be able to walk around just big dick strutting for the next 365 days saying that they won the paint correction competition,
Do
right?
you have a cool trophy, or is it going to be a belt, or is it going to be like a kangaroo?
So I don't know.
It should be a
Sheldon's gonna do some kind of trophy. I love the idea of kind of doing the belt, but unfortunately um there was another competition, paint competition that was done in
yeah,
a Facebook group that did a belt, and I don't think Sheldon wants any correlation with that after stuff
yeah.
that had happened. So I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know if he's gonna bronze a polisher.
That'd be cool. Did you get any sponsor or anything? Because winning it's cool, but coming home with like a new polisher or some compound or a little package,
So
it would be
so
cool.
I don't know. So I know we're 2 weeks away and our committee so the last committee meeting we had was just to kind of like finalize, button everything up. Oh, so here's one other thing I didn't talk about. So we were very fortunate enough that one of our committee members has a hardness tool,
Okay.
measuring tool.
Hmm.
So we will also be, and I've got to either get with them or watch a YouTube video because I have it. They sent it to me. we'll be able to. I'm gonna scratch the pan I have, and we'll be able to know, is it hard paint, medium paint, soft paint.
Right. A
So
pencil
it's
harness. Yeah, it's like a little tool
yeah,
that goes in
yeah,
there and it runs
yeah.
across it. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it's a pencil hardness test. Yeah, but it's I forget what it's called. It actually has a name, like a
Nah,
fancy name to it or whatever.
nah.
So yeah, so that's the other thing. Um, but now I don't even now I forget what I was talking about before that. Oh yeah, so we were buttoning up everything in our last meeting, and I know the last thing that we were supposed to talk about was some sponsorships and promotion, because basically it's $100 to enter, and that money is going to go towards whatever, right? So Sheldon was kind of hoping that, and I don't know if he's done this behind the scenes or whatever, but Sheldon was going to basically ask the exhibitors, like, hey, would you like to donate, whatever,
Yeah.
um for the winter. I do believe we talked with Chris Metcalf, and he said, "Hey, I'll give you a machine or whatever." I don't know if when he talked to Jason Rose about helping us out in the booth, I don't know if he was able to finagle a machine from Rupes or not. But so he was going to try and like reach out and try to get some prizes, some donations or whatever. If not, he was basically going to take that entrance money and just go buy some stuff. So yeah, so whoever wins it will, get a trophy of some sort, and there will be some
Some
prizes. Yeah, yeah. I hope. Actually, you know what? I probably
maybe
need.
high five, but
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna be a
probably
little
need to I probably need to message Sheldon and be like, "Hey, do we have prizes yet?" Like, because we have not talked about that. But yeah, so and then the other thing too is, so the awards are gonna be now that we have this, it's just gonna be called the award ceremony, because before it was the PDR awards.
right.
So now that he has this, he's going to call it the award ceremony. So it'll be done the same time the PDR awards are done,
Cool.
Saturday, like 4 o'clock or something like that. So basically, what they'll do is, if we have all 20, they're not going to start, at 20th and last place,
Right.
Kirk
The worst
Evans.
first.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're not gonna put y'all on blast like that. So
Yeah.
it'll just be top three.
Yeah.
But what we will do is we will let everybody know, like privately, where you fell. So at least like if you came in seventh or you came in 20th or
And there's room to improve. I mean, and
right. Exactly.
we've got a lot of professionals there that can critique later if they're willing to receive critique,
Exactly.
improve on it, because that's really what it's about too. It's fun, but it's about getting better. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, and I talked to one of the guys here locally, and he's like, "Look, man," he goes, "I don't even think I can do it," but he's like, "I'm gonna do it because it's fun." You
yeah,
know,
it's
he's like,
time. Yeah,
no expectations. He's just gonna go and throw his hat in the ring and see how he does. And honestly, like it's somebody like that I hope wins.
yeah.
The guy that's not the macho.
The
The guy.
ego-driven maniac. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the guy that's unsure. Like I just hope for some reason, like that guy went.
he's like,
Like
"Oh my gosh, this is my first week doing this," and
yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, I just did that. I
yeah,
just tried it
yeah.
yesterday, and man, I won the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Or who knows, maybe it's that guy that one hand behind his back because he was holding a pan down when he practiced, does it.
Yeah, it's probably that guy. Yeah, my money's on him.
I doubt it. Yeah. So yeah, so no, man, like I'm super hyped for it. I mean, I'm always hyped for MTE, man. Like it's
It's a good show.
it's
Enjoy
it's
it.
in it's in my backyard, so it's the fun time. It's for me, I've said it before. It's that you start the year off kind of in that good mood by being at MTE and seeing,
Batteries.
right.
Yeah,
It's right. It's a family reunion,
yeah,
like I saw somebody the other day said something about, like describe MTE in 3 words. And I was like, I can do it in one. It's family.
yeah.
Like, that's who it is. And it's the people that I don't get to see every day because like you said, your friends are spread out all over the country, and the only time you get to see them is at MTE or a SEMA, or an SDC, or like what you
Even
guys are doing with the ADA thing or whatever.
yeah.
So
Yeah, even at SEMA, I mean, it's a great show, but you really miss a lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah. Yeah,
And
it's so big and everybody's all over the place.
that's what's so unique about MTE, and that's even SCC, even more so for the detail industry because it was much more narrow. And
Yeah.
that's what something we were trying to replicate with Shine Time Luxury Detail Expo was to have that unique, cool experience for detailers. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of entertainment. That's what I'm about. There to have fun, have education,
Yeah.
bond with your friends, make new family, and something you can look forward to every year. So uh, I, I just believe big in trainings and expos. I just and you can see it in the
It's
way
huge.
you
It
know.
is. I tell people all the time, like, you've gotta like, if you're gonna go to one, go to MTE. Like,
Yeah,
SEMA's fun because it's Vegas, but it's just
yeah.
a party,
It's
MTE
hard.
is where and
Okay.
that's the thing too that I really love about MTE is because primarily everybody, for the most part, stays on site, like, they stay in the hotel. So even after MTE is closed up, it's like everybody just kind of like lingers into, one of the hallways or one of the restaurants or outside on a patio or something. And then it's a spillover continuation,
It just goes as
Seems
long as you want to. Yeah,
right. SEMA's over and it's like, hey, get the fuck out, and it's like, all right, man, I gotta go back to my hotel and I'll meet you
yeah.
over here at this place and then we'll go to that place. And it's crazy. It's hard to meet up with people. I mean, you walk out of MTE and there's like four people standing there hanging out and you just walk up and like, let's go, man. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
We started this last year, and we've actually we made it larger this year. But we get a round table house, so
okay.
it houses like 20 or 30 of us, and so
Yeah.
they have a good landing pad, and that's a good time for our inner circle to kind of get together and rekindle the day, kind of talk all over stuff, and have break bread together, have a good meal. And
Nice.
it was a really good bonding experience last year. And I'm looking forward to that this year as well. Um, but then we can still go out and do other things that everyone
Right.
do. But it's a
Yeah.
nice spot to kind of say, hey guys, what do you think of today? Everyone's in the room. Of course, not all the members, but we try to open up as many as we can. Uh,
Right.
there's not a house big enough to house us all, but
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
standing room only.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we like to, that's one of the benefits of being the roundtable as well, having access to, expo houses and discounts on trainings and stuff and events. So it's neat. I really, really look forward to it, and that really enhanced it for my experience was having that one-on-one time with
Yeah.
guys that were pushing in our direction in our organization.
Are you guys doing a booth or anything or
Not yet. We talked about doing that, and we're probably going to be doing that in the future. It's probably really wise to have a landing spot for someone to get into. I dragged my feet a little bit too long this year to get MTE. There was a lot of things that we had to hammer out before we were really pushing it more.
okay.
Um, I wanted to make sure that the people coming in we could serve properly, and I didn't want to have too much of influx because there's only one opportunity to make a first impression. So I didn't want to have to juggle too much and let anyone down. So we slowed down and really fine tune on how we're training, how we present our information, working internally, and that way we have the best product because
Okay.
we're not in a race. We're
Yeah.
just trying to get it right. So I wanted the opportunity, but yes, in the future. Long story short, in the future we
Yeah.
will absolutely have a booth at places. So a nice couch to sit around on and chat with people. So
Nice. I'm if you guys aren't doing it, I'm surprised that you aren't jumping in on the education days. I think you guys would do probably really well with, some kind of even if it's just very kind of general or whatever, doing something education day at MTE, I think would be
now,
awesome for you guys.
yeah, you're right, and that's that kind of goes in with the same thing, having a booth, having an education day.
Yeah.
We are supporting one of our senior advisors,
Okay.
Bob Osman. He's going to be having a history of paint class 101 on Wednesday.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
what a plethora of information! He is so knowledgeable about that. Uh, I mean, if you're not making Wednesday, a lot of people can't, but if you're there, sign up for that class. It's going to be a great class. I want to be there and come down early just to, uh, you know, be in his class. So
Okay.
we're going to do more of that, and it's just figuring things out. it came to mind too late. It seemed so obvious,
Yeah.
to do that. But
So I'm gonna pitch something for you for next year that I want you to help me with. I
okay.
want you to help me help a friend with for next year MTE, because you've got some pull in this industry. You're making connections. So one of our buddies, Randy Hobson, he's on the PDR side.
Hmm.
He has started the Kevin Halewood Foundation
Okay.
after Kevin passed away
Hmm.
last year. And in fact, they actually started the foundation beforehand, and named it after Kevin, since he was the one that started mobile tech. And originally it was more PDR than detailing. Um, but Randy's really been trying to get the detail side kind of a part of it, and I think you would find similarities with what he's doing with the foundation. Is what they're doing is, kind of for what you guys are doing in a sense. So they're raising money, and what they want to do is help everybody.
Hmm.
Um, not just PDR. They want to be able to help detailers. They want to be able to help glass repair guys, or whoever comes, kind of comes to MTE, the reconditioning industry. They want to be able to, if somebody's, going through, an illness, or, whatever, and needs help, they want to be able to try and help them with money and everything like that.
Right.
And so where I would like for you to help me help Randy is because he's having a hard time getting anybody in the detail side to just listen or give some interest. And what he did last year was the first year. He's doing it again this year, but again, I think the only detail company he got was 3D, and that's just because he has a connection with somebody at 3D. But what they do is Wednesdays they're doing bass tournaments.
Yeah.
Um, he has, like, I don't know, 20 something boats, and these companies can sponsor the boats. It's really not expensive. You get your name. It's the whatever boat, and then people can sign up for it. And then you get to be on that boat as a team. And it's all chartered captains, so they're going to take you where all the fish are, right? Like, you're going to catch some big Florida bass.
Yeah.
And it's just a good time on Wednesday morning. They go and do that. I would love for you. I'll get you introduced to Randy.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing and what you guys are doing is a very similar
Mhm.
thing, and he just needs somebody to help him, get the detail ball rolling. I tried to introduce him to, a few people in the industry last year, and everybody shook his hand and was like, yeah, 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 and then when he tried to reach out, it was, ghost town,
It's
kind of
it's
thing.
difficult. It really
Yeah,
is difficult. You don't know people's mindsets, and a lot of times you don't know. A lot of people shy off because it's something's new.
right.
Felt
Yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah,
the hardest part is, and I'm sure he's struggling with, is taking this vision outside of my head and painting that picture in your head where you can see the same thing.
yeah,
That has been the most difficult thing by
yeah.
far, doing it, because when we launched, you remember everybody had questions.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
I remember that's why we had you on the podcast, because
yeah,
I had questions and you're like, "Hey,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
go easy on me,
Don't go
ask
easy
ask
on
all
me,
the
no.
questions."
But
Yeah.
it's taken time to convey that message, and it's still not crystal clear with everybody. So
Yeah.
it just takes time. And I think with consistency and pushing forward in the right direction, he'll succeed with that. I'll be happy to talk to him and see where he's
I'm
at.
sure he is. I just, part of me is kind of like, man, my industry just, God, like, can we just, let's help. Like, it's an absolutely 100% nonprofit. He's not making any money off of it. Every donation, you know, is is paying. Like, he was telling me, I think there's, they're helping a guy out that uh I forget what he has. I mean, it's like cancer, or, like some crazy, like really bad illness, and the guy has to shut down his shop, and he, while he's going through this treatment and everything, and he needs money, and they're able to, have this money that they can, this guy can kind of, a little bit. He has a whole board.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all legit and up and up. But yeah, I mean, it just he really wants the detailing because he wants it to be like he's like, look, we've got like all these little neighborhoods, the detail neighborhood, the PDR neighborhood, the PPF neighborhood, the window tint neighborhood. He goes, I want it to be all one city, like we're
Yeah.
all together, we're all, and he's just, having that hard time getting anybody on the detail side to kind of look to him. So I definitely want to introduce you to him at
Yeah.
MTE, and I want you to be able to, get some information from him and see what he's doing, and hopefully you can help me help Randy for next year. Maybe we get you know more than 3D on a boat for the bass tournament, kind of
Hey,
thing.
this boat's sponsored by 3D. This boat's sponsored by 3D.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, no, I mean, like most of them are all PDR stuff. Last year, I think he had uh I think he had like 3 boats from the detail industry last year, but this year I think he's only got, from what
I
he told
think
me, he only had 3D sign up.
I think it's just exposure more than anything
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I didn't know about that last year until it was happening, right?
right.
Like people were kind of talking about it, but it wasn't real descriptive. So the main thing is getting
Yeah,
the message out there because if it's for a good cause, then legitimate
yeah.
industry will
Well,
support that.
and
And
again, that's why I would like to get you, because I've tried to talk about it on the podcast, but my podcast only reaches so far, um, and having somebody maybe like you that understands it or knows it, um, then the snowball effect can kind of happen, because that's the thing is he's a PDR guy, right? I mean, he knows some detailers, but not a lot, so it's one of those, I think, nobody knows who he is on the detail side, so they're not really listening. He talks about it on his podcast and posts about it in his groups and all that thing, but again, not a lot of detailers are in there. Um, so yeah, because I think it's a good cause. I mean, I think it's a great thing for everybody, and hey, I mean, we never know when one of us might be going through it and need some help, and you know what, there's a foundation out there that you could submit to, and maybe get a little bit of help. Now, because you don't want to sell your 6-figure sports car, because you need some money, it's a different
right,
story,
that's a
right?
different
But
story.
yeah.
And that's difficult. But yeah, I would love to talk to him and see what he
Okay.
has to say and kind of learn more about it because one, I want to believe in what I'm backing or put out there because my
Yeah.
my word's on it too. And
Yeah.
and it seems like now that you're talking about it, I'm aware of it, but it's just not prominent in the forefront of my mind. But
No, it's not. And I'll tell you what, there's so I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna try and talk to this guy. So there's a guy named Tom Williams. Randy's kind of been talking to me about it. I don't know if you know Tom Williams or whatever. Um, so this is going to be a really cool thing at MTE. Tom Williams is donating a choice of. So Tom Williams has these inflatable like light booths, right?
mhm,
Primarily for um um doing estimates for PDR, right? It
right,
has like all the little reflective
they're really cool. They
thingamajiggies.
were there
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he has 2 new ones coming out. It's a light booth for PDR, and he has a light booth for detailers.
Wow. Nice.
Um, they're like $8,000, which, sorry, Tom, but my opinion, good luck getting a detailer to spend $8,000 on a blow up booth. But you never know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, so they're raffling those off for $100. You could buy $100 ticket and have the chance to win an $8,000, your choice. Obviously, detailers are going to pick the detail one, right? Um, but that's kind of a cool thing that they're doing at MTE, to try to, again, raise money for the Kevin Haywood Foundation. And yeah, so detailers, listen to this. If you're going to MTE, um, check that out, because apparently it's a pretty badass. It's so new that he doesn't even have any pictures online or anything like that. It's
Well,
going to
look
be.
at it like this. Even though that he started for PDR, we wouldn't be here, co-eventing with the PDR side unless it was started to begin with.
Yeah,
And that was
exactly.
the direction that started it. Now it's our job to promote the industry on our side bigger and kind of make that 50-50, and really
Yeah.
pour into it. So we have a lot of, we
Well,
should have a lot of thanks to that individual.
and
And,
yeah,
and
and you know what? It's crazy that you say 50/50 because the last couple of years I talked to Sheldon, detailing side is creeping over that 50.
really,
And yeah, we're taking I think last year, I think he said it was like 51-49.
yeah, we're taking over,
Um,
baby.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's kind of the same this year, and, I don't know exactly I haven't looked, but I think there's like 4 or 5 PPF companies this year now,
Cool. Yeah.
I
Well,
think
a
we
lot
only
of
have
people are cross branding. A lot of people are doing
yeah,
detailers are kind of doing PDR and PPF and tent. You're seeing
exactly.
them,
Yeah,
in a shop doing that.
yeah,
So
so it's nice to see MTE growing, I was talking with Sheldon and, you know, they, um they kind of ran out of space and had to readjust things because they had so many people wanting to come this year.
yeah, that's
So,
cool.
like, all
They're
that
sold out in the hotel. So
all that dead space that was over on that far one side last year
cool.
is all filled up now.
Nice. I love it. Yeah.
Because it's yeah, so, and I don't know that it's all detailing. I mean, I know some of it is because, the Angel Wax guys and us, apparently didn't, reserve a booth early enough, so we're way off in, like, no man's land, so we're gonna kinda carry over that AA meeting, at, SEMA that you came to.
Right.
We're gonna kinda carry that over to MTE. We actually have a 10 by 10 space in between our 2 booths that they can't rent out because there's like a fire extinguisher or an outlet there or something like that. So Sheldon told us, that we could have it. We could do whatever we want with it. So we're gonna kind of call it the AA lounge, and we're just gonna kind of have this empty space in between Aquatech and Angel Wax where,
You're gonna
you
have
know,
like a bubble archway connecting the
you
two.
know, so what we had talked about, and I'll blame Rick and Tommy for this because they got busy and never got with us. What Rick had talked about. So they bring John every year, and John mixes, whatever ceramics, waxes, whiskeys, whatever.
Beard
So
oil.
we
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, the beard oil.
be good.
So
Yeah.
Rick had the idea of getting liquor from the hotel and just having John mix everybody drinks instead.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All chemists like, make sure everything is mixed
Yeah,
properly. Yeah.
yeah. And we talked about maybe getting some little chairs and stuff like that. But that was SEMA at the AA meeting when everybody was drunk and happy and all together, and then we get back and holidays happen and this, that, and the other, and so it didn't. So we will have a blank, an empty space in between us. We're gonna call the AA lounge, and maybe we'll try and snag some chairs somewhere so people can come and like sit down. But yeah, like there's a lot of detail on that side,
Yeah.
that's away from the normal detail side. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting this year because yeah, Sheldon was like, man, he's like, we got to go and like rearrange everything because we had so many people wanting to sign up that we had to like try to make room to add more people. So yeah, it's getting big. I'm waiting. I mean, I know next year it's supposed to go back to the Rosen, where
It
it was like 2 years
I
ago.
enjoyed it better there.
Yeah,
Last year, I felt like everyone was split up. I didn't get to see everybody as much,
yeah,
and the Rosin Shingle Inn kind of, I think that's what it's called.
yeah,
It,
yep,
it kind of funnels everybody into a bottleneck where you just run
yes,
into everybody, and
yeah.
that was nice because the people you didn't get to see at the show or too busy, at least you get a nice great little chat. So I enjoyed it about the old
Yeah, I'm excited for it to go back there too. I think a lot of people like that one better, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm kind of waiting for, when it gets too big for that and we go to the convention center, and then we got a proper big show. Cause I remember a few years back they went to the convention center and even the small space they had was like way too big
big.
for the booths. Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for it to get big enough to go back to the convention center and be proper
Oh, it'll
and
be cool.
everything.
It's growing that way, guys, and I
Yeah.
think it's going to do good. And Our show is going to be a small show. It's going to be kind of exclusive to a certain people. We've got some
Yeah.
booths left, but they're filling up fast, and
Nice.
it's going to be a unique show. So maybe Aquatech can attend that. So it's a very affordable show, and we
Okay.
having a lot of foot traffic. There's going to be airplane rides, flight simulators. There's going to be food, coffee, entertainment, education. I mean, awards. We're going to do some giveaway stuff. Uh,
Okay.
it's going to be a good time. So uh,
Nice. Yeah, shoot me some info. If we can't make it this year, maybe we'll try to plan for it for next year or something like that. And then what I'd like to do maybe is when it gets closer to maybe get you back on and kind of talk about it again and because you guys will be closer to it, then maybe you'll have more of an idea. So maybe I can get you on and um and we can kind of promote it a little bit as it kind of gets closer to.
yeah, I love that. Yeah. Hopefully, one thing SEC did. Um, the foot traffic wasn't there. So
Yeah.
we kind of showed up to hang out with each other, which is great. I enjoy that too. But having some payback to the vendors would be good to have some public there and some foot traffic, which will cap too. I mean, we've got only so much room that we can fit people in. It's a
Right.
huge facility, but it's not a convention center.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be it's going to be limited, but we're going to funnel the right people there, family oriented. Family can come have a good time. We want everyone to kind of feel comfortable there, so it's not just a secluded event from your
Yeah.
family.
And where in Texas is it going to be?
It's Houston, Texas. It's the
Okay.
Lone Star Flight Museum.
Okay.
Uh, so look that up. That's where all the 80, well, not all of them, but a lot of the ADA aviation trainings are with Josh
Yeah.
Hernandez there.
Yeah.
Been to several of them. Great class, uh, great facility. It shows really well. All the videos made there are going to look good. They do a lot of events there, so we're not going off the cuff too much. They're familiar with how these things flow.
Right.
But it'll show good, and we're going to have a good time. So I'm hoping all my detail family can make it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Um, Dang, too bad you guys didn't do it in like August or September or something, and everybody could go to like a Texans game while they're down there or something.
we were uh, we were limited. You're right. Yeah, we were limited on time. We didn't
Uh,
want to overlap with SEMA, and then you don't want to overlap
yeah,
with all these other big shows.
yeah.
There's other times we thought about it, it's like, man, we're going with this. This is our slot, you know.
Yeah. No,
So
but I think that's kind of cool. I mean, I only got to go to SCC that one year, and it was the last year, and unfortunately, it was like really dead. But I
yeah,
had an absolute blast while I was there. Like I met people there that I hadn't met at MTE or hadn't met at
mhm,
SEMA, before or whatever. Um, and it was a little more scaled down than MTE, but it was cool because everybody hung, pretty much everybody was stayed in the same hotel across the street. So we all hung out at that little, street, patio thing that they had going on, every night or whatever. Um, and I always thought SDC was kind of, as much as people bitched about the time, I thought it was a good time, right? Because I was like, man, like you start off the year, you charge up your batteries with Mobile Tech
yeah,
Expo, you get feeling good, you start draining a little bit, and then you got SDC, and you
but
go back and you're right back with your family. You
yeah,
get those batteries charged up, and then it comes to the end of the year, you start draining again, and then it's SEMA,
yeah.
and you charge right back up again, and then you just go a couple of months and it starts all back over again at MTE, I felt like it was like the perfect, like right when my batteries are drained, especially for that year, because I did Mobile Tech, I did STC, and then I did SEMA that year. And it was just like right when I needed that charge up, I was with family. I was with the people that go through the same shit that I go through day in and day out. Like I can't come home and talk to Michelle about the shit that I do at the shop. She doesn't get it. Like she's just like,
It's an outlet.
did
Yeah,
yeah, she's like, did we make money today? That's all I care about.
come on,
Like
good job.
yeah, I'm like, "Ow, my back hurts." Well,
It,
she's
you
like,
come in
"Why?"
even.
Yeah. So, that's what I love about these events. I kinda wish there was more of them, but I get, you can't go to all of them. But so yes, I think you guys, probably hit it at a good time because for the people who can do all three or do two or whatever, it's gonna fall in a time, either way, the three of them are gonna fall in a time when you need a battery recharge and you can go to one of those events and get it. So I think
We
it's
can be
awesome.
that stopgap for people. We're pouring a lot into it,
Yeah,
and it's not just snap your fingers. It's uncharted territory for me, and we're all of us that's doing it. So
right.
we know our respective field, but we don't know how to do an expo. We kind of have a general idea, and Rod and Jody are great. They've had some experience working with SDC, so um, they're helping a lot. So we're gonna do well. We're getting a lot of good support from our companies that's associated with us, and we locked that in. And man, let's give back to the industry. I just want to see
Yeah.
I want another landing spot for the industry to have. So that's the purpose of it.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, listen, Kirk, it's getting a little late here. I gotta
Yeah,
get
you
up, go
said,
to
gosh, 2 hours.
work. Yeah, yeah, I gotta get up and
That's
work in the
okay.
morning. You gotta go eat, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm about to die. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, I could see you
this past
starting to
week,
fade a
and
little.
now I'm feeling
Um,
better. But
yeah, listen, man, I really appreciate you jumping on and doing this.
thanks
It
for
was
having
it was it was a great time seeing you at SEMA. And I wanted to get you back on and just kind of see where the roundtable is going with this. I appreciate you, letting me tell you how the paint correction competition is going to go and your
me. Yeah,
little bit of feedback, from that. And listen, man, I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, buddy,
yeah,
or week
absolutely.
and a half, whatever
Yeah,
we're
week
down
and
to
a half
now.
right around the corner.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like I
it's
said, just throw a chair at me or something because sometimes I get caught up in conversations.
I,
And
I'm the same way, man. But listen, I'm sure I'll be there. I'm gonna be there Thursday because I gotta help Jason and Mike set the booth up. I also have to get with Sheldon. We're gonna try and do get the committee kind of together Thursday, maybe like in the afternoon, and just kind of you know last minute kind of run through on the booth and see what everybody sees and whatnot. So I'll be there Thursday. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be hanging out, hoping I can fill this empty space back here with a golden mic award if everybody will
yeah,
go and vote for me because I got hosed on it last year because of a couple of individuals in the industry. And because it was mine, I'm still salty about it. If you can't tell, it
no,
was mine. They just couldn't give it to me because some people decided they couldn't act right.
right,
So I'll be there Thursday night, man. They're Sheldon's hired an '80s band to play
cool.
Thursday night. So that should be pretty fun. He was trying to get Steel Panther. I don't know if you know who Steel Panther is.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Because he apparently had hired them a few times for some other events, but now they're too big and cost too
Um,
much money, so he
well,
couldn't
I
get.
want to become a ZZ Top, so I
Yeah,
want to,
yeah, I see that.
the '80s ZZ
Yeah,
Top.
yeah,
That where
exactly. Yeah,
his
yeah,
hair was still brown.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, man, I'll be there Thursday night hanging out. I'll be there all day Friday and Friday night hanging out, and
Yeah,
Saturday they're gonna have to kick me out of that place. I always tell Michelle, I'm like, man, it's the last day out. I'll be home early, and it's
you
like,
never are.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
you never are.
7 o'clock, and she's like, "I thought you were coming home early," and I'm like, "Show ended like 3 hours ago, but we're still talking," So,
Well, brother,
um,
if you need me for helping, whatever, just holler.
yeah,
You've got my number.
yep,
Holler at me Thursday. I'll be glad to
okay,
help out any way I can. So,
okay,
uh,
awesome. I appreciate it, man.
all right,
Listen, buddy, you have a great night.
you too.
Have a safe trip down here, and we'll talk very shortly.
You bet. See you soon, man.
Thanks,
See
man.
you.
Take care. Bye.